Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Spurs Live. I am joined by Josh. How are you doing, Josh?
I'm good, mate. I'm good to see you again. How are you?
All good, all good. Good to see you as well. I mean, unfortunately, Matt is unavailable for today's stream or recording, but it's gonna be a good one, Josh. I think both of us rocking the same shirt, same name at the back. Unbelievable stuff, unbelievable stuff. So, look, without further ado, let's get straight into it. Obviously, we asked the Spurs Live fans out there on social media for a couple questions, for a Q&A, and we got a few responses, and I thought, why not? Let's go and record the video. So, Josh, let's start off with a question. Okay, a little bit about Kane. Let's start a little bit about Kane. A question from TF608. If not Kane, what one player would you take back to Spurs in their prime? Now, we're talking about top players here. We can talk about Kane. We can talk about Vertonghen. We can talk about Alderweireld. If you want to go even further back, you can talk about Musa Dembele, Gareth Bale, Modric. Who would you take at Tottenham Hotspur back in their prime?
Yeah, see, obviously, I'm a bit older than you, so I probably remember a little bit further back into Spurs
Exactly.
history
Yeah.
through that early 2000s period. I've seen some greats. I've seen some absolute howlers play for our club, but I've also seen some greats. Modric was one of the best I've ever seen in a Spurs shirt growing up. Loved him. He was so different to anyone else. If no one's seen it, I watched a Golf Life, Tubes and Angie's Golf Life, and they had Genus on, and he was talking about Modric, and he was talking about how English players play in straight lines, and they are designed, they're sort of taught in the English game to be in specific positions, and these are your options you can have in those positions. And he said Luca was just different, that he was picking up just positions no one else would even think of. He'd be at right back at times, he'd be on the wing at other times, and he'd be on the edge of the box in half a second from where he was before, and you just couldn't get a hold of him. He was magical, and won a cup with us. People forget
Yeah.
about that. Him and Bale
Yeah.
both
Won
won
a
a
cup with
trophy with
us.
us. That Carling Cup, which is the last one we won, but he was magical.
2008, right? Or 2009?
2009, and Jonathan Woodgate
2009.
winner. So
Yeah.
I was old enough to remember that one. Equally, Moussa Dembele is up there. If you ask any Spurs player that played with Moussa Dembele who the best player they've ever played with is, they all say him. He was magical. I'm sure you remember Moussa. Um,
100%. That's
un,
that's who I'm gonna say. Go on.
he like a bull, but with ballerina feet. I've never seen anyone built like him. Untackleable. You knew exactly what he was going to do when you were watching him, but it didn't matter. You couldn't stop
Yeah.
him. I think if he could have added goals to his game, he would have been one of the true recognized as one of the true greats of the Premier League in terms of
hmm
visibility. That's the only thing he lacked was that output. Um, but he was truly
So so so
special.
so you- so 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 do you think that the lack of goals and maybe the lack of going forward from Musa Dembele in terms of the goal scoring is the reason why he isn't I don't want to be rude, but isn't as respected
Yeah,
as other players are? Yeah.
yeah. People won't talk about him with one of the greats, which I think he is ability wise. But like if he could have scored 5 to 10 per season, he would have been up there with. He was a Yaya type player. Like
Yeah.
he had such a similar play style to Yaya. I can't regard him in the same talk as Yaya, because Yaya was that guy. He banging in every free kick he took. He was a
hmm
10 goal a season midfielder. He was special, but Dembele was levels ability wise with those sort of players, but just he'll never get recognised as that. Jan, like you said, Jan and Toby, special place in my heart from that team. As a defender myself, I can always appreciate the art of what they do. But ultimately, to bring it back to that question, Gareth Bale is the answer. The man on the back of both of our shirts, my hero growing up. I think a lot of Spurs fans' heroes that are sort of my generation, even like yours,
Yeah.
to the same extent. He was a phenom, probably the best British player that ever lived, in my opinion. I think
You
I
can
think
you,
he's
you can say that. Yeah. Yeah. I
I think
mean,
I think it's not a doubt in my mind. The most accomplished by far. He's a Madrid
yeah.
legend. He's won how many Champions Leagues did he win? Five.
Five, I think. Yeah, five.
Five Champions Leagues, got Wales into the last stages of the Euros at one point, which is just as big an achievement as a Champions League, to be honest, considering the talent that Wales produce.
hmm
PFA Young Player of the Year and Player of the Year at Spurs, one of the very
Oh,
few players to do it in the same year. That season, he was on an absolute tear under AVB. I remember it clear as day. If he picked it up in the opposition half, he was probably going to score, no matter where he picked it up.
yeah.
I've never seen a player like it. Take ons, pace, strength, power, passing ability, long distance shooting, finishing in the box. He had everything, absolutely everything.
I think when you talk about a kind of a player like Gareth Bale, you have to remember. I mean, Andrews, what's his name? Jermaine Defoe was asked who he was in the annual book of the Tottenham Hotspur, um, and when I was reading it, he said who is the most creative player or the most creative person in a dressing room in terms of mindset, who's got the strongest and creative mindset in the dressing room, and he just straight away said AVB. Honestly, he straight away said the manager. And at some points you say, okay, maybe the players, maybe you have a couple players in there who are more creative, more better mindset. But at the end of the day, AVB, as much as he gets a lot of stick, though he does get a lot of stick, but Gareth Bale was striving, under him. I mean, the Milan game always comes to everyone's mind. I mean, he was unbelievable, Gareth Bale. The whole Gareth Bale career at Tottenham Hotspur. Even when he came back, he wasn't bad. He wasn't bad at all.
He was good. Underrated when he
Yeah,
came back. When he wore this
yeah.
exact shirt, he was underrated.
Exactly.
Mourinho
What
just
he
never
was, he
gave
was
him
very
minutes.
underrated. Although the amount of money we were paying him wasn't great, but it's still a player who deserves that amount of salary because of how good he is. And at the end of the day, I believe I'm not going to go with Gareth Bale though. I'm not going to go with Gareth Bale. I think he is a bit of a too much of an obvious answer, and I think he's more of your type of generation. But I'm going to go with someone who's more closer to my heart, which is Moussa Dembele. I think when you look at Moussa Dembele, you think I straight away think we it's a beast of a player, magic feet. Dribbling is second to none. Shooting, although he could have improved on, still was top class. His long passes, his ball possession, his concentration. Unbelievable in everything. And he was very very much underrated in terms of those midfielders out there. Now, I don't want to get too much carried away with it, but I do believe Yves Bissouma kind of reminds me of him in a way.
He's the
The way
closest
he
we've seen. He's the
yeah,
closest
the way
we've
he
seen.
gets out of a tight pressure, the way he moves the ball. But tell me something now. I know we got the question, but very quickly now, Moussa Dembele, if you had to rank him in terms of nowadays midfielders, because I feel like nowadays you've got very very good midfielders. How high does he rank for you?
He if he was playing the game now,
Yeah.
he would be one of the best in the world still. Like
Hmm.
the amount of like sort of appreciation players of his ilk would get nowadays in terms of his ball progression, his ball retention, how he can recycle possession so well. There aren't many like him. There really aren't many like him. You've got in terms of people that you sort of see as that pivot that just don't really lose the ball. You've got your Rodris, at the moment your Basumas, but before that, in terms of like sort of a Casemiro. But even then, Casemiro's not that ilk. But there's not many like him. He was a bit of
Yeah.
a to use like a basketball. He's a bit of a unicorn of a player. Dembele. There's not many players that could be built like him. He's such a unique profile. I think Andrew would have loved him.
I feel like he could have been like the key to Ange Ball if we did have him. But look,
So underrated.
very
His
very good.
pivot with
Yeah,
Wanyama, so underrated. Him that
and
duo
Wanyama,
as a duo, so underrated together.
100%. I think especially when you talk about Wanyama. I mean, look, first goal that everyone remembers of obviously Wanyama was that Liverpool smasher. Them two in the midfield would absolutely boss it nowadays. But look, Josh, next question up, and this question is from Anthony dot Prather one. So cheers for the comment, lads. Also, guys, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We are almost at 2.5k. Now, Josh, should we keep our starting 11 from the Burnley match or bring Richarlison back in as a striker? Obviously, Human Son scored a hat trick the other day. Played as a striker, position that we both have mentioned quite a fair amount of times that we believe Sonny should start in that starting 11 in the striker position. Now going into the next game, which is against Sheffield United on the 16th, Saturday the 16th.
Hmm.
What 11? I think the back four is obviously. I want a bit more open up this question a bit. What would be your starting 11? Because I'll go first. The back four I believe should stay the same. The midfield should be Bissouma, Pape, and Madison. And the front three is the interesting one. I feel like Sonny should start at the striker. Solomon should start at left wing, and then the right wing is up to debate. I mean, Kulusevski, I would give it to Kulusevski. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, the striker one, I think we were all a bit confused that we didn't bring in a striker. I think it like a Gift Orban was obviously the one that was linked for weeks, and everyone thought that that was going to happen at some point, but it
Ages.
didn't.
Yeah.
Didn't even put in a bid in the end. But I think it's a bit more evident now to see why, because Sonny in that position against Burnley was magnificent. I mean, if you watch back the commentary actually says like he really didn't affect the game a lot, but who cares? Like it's the same thing with Haaland. Who cares if you haven't touched the ball for 80 minutes?
Hmm.
As a striker,
Yeah.
all you need is 2, 3 touches a game, and you can win it with
Go.
those couple touches. And that's exactly what he did. He showed a great range of finishing. He showed his ability still to get in behind against centre backs, which he doesn't really have on the wing anymore. I think he's so well suited to that striker role, and I think that's the competition Andrew's talking about in terms of that's why he didn't need Gift Orban or a second striker to come in straight away, and why he's willing to send out Scarlett. Because we all thought maybe he's keeping Scarlett and he wants to give him some minutes off the bench, but clearly not. I think that striker spot now for me is Sonny's to lose after the hat trick. I think it's
Yeah.
obvious. And with the sign of Brennan Johnson, Brennan can play through the middle. We've seen it before.
How much
But
competition does Brennan Johnson really bring in that striker?
yeah, a lot. But I think it's not just a it's just a forward role. I think that's the way
Yeah.
we've got to start viewing these players as forwards rather than he's a left winger, he's a striker, he's a right winger. That's it. They're set there. They're forwards. Brennan, their whole point, every player that we've bought is versatile. We've got a thin squad. I know we've got a
Yeah.
bloated squad in terms of actual players, but in terms of players that
Current
are good enough
current
to get
players.
minutes, yeah, in
Yeah.
terms of players that will actually play, it's thin. Our spine is very thin.
Hmm.
Um, and our season could be defined by injuries, but that's the risk you take in a rebuild. And we're ahead of schedule, so we were never meant to be this good anyway. So
Hundred
that's not,
percent.
that whole thing isn't in my mind. But I think it's Sonny's to lose up front. Solomon, I thought he was okay, but he got 2 assists. So if Ange sees that as justification to keep his place, fair enough.
Yeah.
And I know international breaks come up, and even if Richarlison scores for Brazil, if he plays well, I still don't think we should put him back in yet. I think it's how you play in a Spurs shirt that should be the difference. It's a completely different system. He can play well for Brazil, but it's a different system. So
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily translate to Spurs in the same way. But Sonny's to lose. Like to see Solomon, and I think keep Kulu in for now because
Yeah.
Kulu is struggling. We all know Decky's struggling at the minute.
Do you give Brennan Johnson a chance maybe on that right or not yet?
If it's not going either or if it's not going well, get him on.
Yeah.
If Kulu's not playing well, but if we smash Sheffield United and blow them away early doors, get in the same thing, get him on. Even put
Yeah.
Kulusevski attacking mid and just save Madison. You know, I think that's important is keeping Madison's minute as low as possible when we don't need him on the pitch. But I definitely think there's room for Johnson to play.
Hmm. Look. I want to now go into a little bit of a different question. It is regarding that starting 11. Now, the way I see it is, if players are on international duty, yeah, I'm just going to go through the players now. Van der Ven, Romero, Vicario, Madison, Sonny Kulusevski, Sarr, Brennan Johnson, Davis, Joe Rodon, Manon Solomon, Hoiberg, Perisic, Basuma, Richarlison, um, Scarlett, Devine, Phillips, Dorrington, and then obviously you got a bit more of the
Mm.
under 19s. Um, so you got a couple players in there who are at Tottenham who aren't on international duty. Um, do you think, now this is the question, do you think some could get into that next game versus Sheffield because Ange is actually keeping an eye on them? Because, the way I see international break, I see it's a very nice time for the manager to have a look at players he wouldn't necessarily look at. So the Emerson Royals, he's fixating maybe on him for a bit, or Ollie Skip maybe. I didn't. Is he even in there? No, Oliver Skip isn't in
Shouldn't
there.
be.
So Oliver Skip, have a look in there. So do you think any of the players who aren't at international duty can uh, maybe persuade the manager to start him? Very broad questions, I know, but
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, first of all, just a quick one. Shout out Alfie Devine. Got a try. He
Yeah,
played, trained with the England senior team.
unbelievable.
Massive, absolutely massive. So big congratulations to him because he's had a great week. Obviously, with Port Vale, he's started great. Scored that
Port Vale,
99th minute
one
winner.
goal, one assist.
Yeah, he's had a great start. So he's so talented. I think every
Mm,
Spurs fan's excited for him. So congratulations to Alfie for getting in that sort of training squad for a little while at least.
100%.
I think that'd be massive for him, and I'm really excited for him in the future. Um, but to answer your question, I guess so. Like in terms of other players having a chance to impress Ange, um, I think it's going to be tough to break into that starting 11. Like Hoiberg came out this week in an interview and said that he's struggling to get into the 11. It seems like Ange has got his set 11 for the minute,
Hmm.
and all he can do is do what he can in the minutes that he gets given. Um, but you look across that starting 11, is there really anyone that looks massively droppable right now other than sort of maybe one of the front three?
Yeah,
Not. I think that midfield is pretty set in stone. Like, and I
very,
don't
very much
think
agree.
I can't see who you drop out of that defense. Porro was the iffy one before the start of the season, but he's playing so well. I mean,
Yeah,
defensively he has his moments, but going forward, he's so crucial to what we're doing at the minute in terms of those long balls getting us out of in some sticky situations. I don't think he's droppable either. Udoji definitely isn't droppable.
100% not.
Absolutely not. The best kept secret in football at the minute, Destiny Udoji. I don't know if you've seen there was a thread of Arsenal fans that made a combined 11 and they put Zinchenko in ahead of him. They just don't get it.
Seriously,
I'm sorry. There is. I don't honestly don't think there's a left back
disgraceful.
in the league right now that can touch Destiny Udogie on the form that he's in right now.
Yeah,
He's been sensational, absolutely sensational. Same with Van de Ven and Romero. They both you can't drop either of them. We haven't got the depth, you know. And Vicario, I think he's proved his doubters wrong. I don't think there's any competition for him. He's been fantastic. His nickname's Venom, and he's been fantastic. Um,
hmm,
he's caused me no pain despite his nickname, so I've loved him. Um, but yeah, the midfield, Sar's been great. He's the one that
yeah,
maybe you could think could be droppable, but I don't think we have like a like for Sar right now, if you get what I mean. I think
correct,
he brings
correct.
such
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so important off the ball physicality wise, and he's been just as good on the ball.
But
Mad is obviously on the
what's nice about that front three is that I think I feel like I spoke to you this about to you on the last live stream was that the front no, sorry, not the front three, the midfield three of Saar, Madders and Basuma. Sorry lads that we're going on over on this question a bit more in deep, but why not? It's more content for you. I feel like each one brings their own unique quality because
Mm.
Basuma is aggressive. Pape Sarr is the young midfielder in there, very energetic, and you got James Madison, the creative wise. Now, uh, 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 what do you think is I don't want to say future because obviously he does have a future. Tottenham, 100% he does. He's one of our most important players last season. But for Bentancur, how does it work for Bentancur now coming back into the team?
Yeah,
Because if I'm completely honest with you, I don't think he gets back into the team that easily. I feel like he's got to work his arse off to get
I
into
think
that
that's
team.
such a good thing though. We've needed a
Yeah,
little bit of competition in that midfield, but also I'm so glad that Sarah stepped up because I was really worried before the start of this season that we were going to rush
hundred
Bentancur
percent.
back in. I was really worried about, but now I've got no concerns as long as Sarr stays fit. It just allows Bentancur to sort of come on, get a few bench appearances, get his minutes up, get his fitness back, get his sharpness back before getting thrown back into the deep end. We don't have to throw him into the
Yeah,
starting lineup straight away. And because you know what he's like, Bentancur will push himself and he'll want to be out there so desperately.
yeah,
Um, but it's important that we manage him with an ACL injury very, very carefully. It's it's the hardest injury to come back from in sport in most sports anyway. It changes players completely. And the
hmm,
best thing we can do is manage him properly and give him the time that he needs to get back into
yeah,
that squad. So, but it is good competition. It's something we haven't had in midfield for a while. We had Hoiberg and Bentancur our set starters for so long, and it didn't look like anyone was going to displace them. So it'd be nice to have a bit more depth. So I'm looking forward to him coming back, but I'm not too worried that he's going to be forced to play now. So I'm glad
uh, yeah.
the sort of breakout season, if this is what it's going to be, has come at the
Mm.
best possible time for Spurs.
He's just a one season wonder. One season
Oh,
one.
man, I'm still
Nah.
hurting, please.
Now tell me something. We're gonna go into the next question, but beforehand, that front three very quickly. Obviously, it's not a Tottenham recording video without talking about that front three.
Mm.
Now, obviously, we talked about the striker position, the left winger position. I how do I say this? I wasn't too impressed with Manor Solomon's performance against Burnley. I feel like it was a good game for him to go and show what he can do on that left hand side. Um, us doing our due diligence before signing him, we mentioned that he's good at going 1v1. He's good at progressing the ball forward, and I really didn't see that against Burnley. I didn't see it. And then I came on here to defend him against who was it? Was it against United that he started on that right hand side? I
Nah,
can't. Oh,
Fulham.
Fulham. Fulham, so yeah, but Fulham. I came on here to defend him. That Fulham. He plays on the right wing. It's not his
Mm.
position. But then when he played on the left, he didn't really show anything. What do you think is and honestly, I don't think that I think we still have so much quality to show us. He's got so much to show us. He's just not there yet. What do you think is slowing him down in a way, or do you not believe he's slowing down? Do you think he's doing well?
I think he's been okay. Like he was
Yeah.
bright against United when he came on.
Mhm.
He even came on the right there, but he was bright, but he only came on for a few minutes. Poor against Fulham, but the whole team was poor. And like you said, he didn't play in his position. I think that's been the big thing. He's played left and right, but he hasn't had a run at the left. He's been just sort of chucked on here and there where there's space to get him in, essentially, which I
Yeah.
don't think has helped him. But it was his first Premier League start, and it was his first start on the left, and he got 2 assists. And I thought the 2 assists were a bit flatter into his overall performance. I thought he was okay. I wasn't massively impressed, but I wasn't thinking you're not good enough to be on this pitch with these players. I thought he was
Mhm.
okay, a bit of a passenger at times, but wingers
Yeah.
can do that. I think sometimes they can, and especially his profile of player. If he's not taking someone on, he's not really going to contribute much. If he's not directly on the ball, he's not going to give you a lot. Um, he's not like Decky. Who's going to drop deep and progress really well, or sort of give that. He's not got the passing ability of Decky, where he can have those little quick interchanges or anything like that. So or play those
He's
really
also
long
built
threaded balls.
differently. He's very much built differently.
He
Therefore,
is.
his
He's more a
dribbling.
traditional winger.
Yeah. No, I'm saying also the way he progresses the ball forward. It's very it's very technically like he goes
Mm.
past the ball to move forward. He doesn't himself strive forward. But look, um, last couple words on Manon Solomon. What do you want to see this season from him? Anything particular?
If he gets a run, like by
Yeah.
the end of the season, I'd like to see sort of like 5 goals, which is what he got last year in limited appearances. But I want to
Mhm.
see those assists up. I want to see 5+ assists if he's going to play
Yeah.
decent minutes on the wing, because he didn't put out.
Exactly.
He had like 1 assist for Fulham last year. It's not good enough out. He's already beaten that, but give me like 5 to 10 assists, and I'll be a bit more convinced. But I still do think that's a position that next season you should probably be looking to strengthen that left wing position.
100% as well that Ivan Perisic is also probably going to leave next season.
Yeah.
Look, let's move on to another question. This is probably my favorite question out of them, them all. Now, do our expectations change based off the start to the season? So, just to simplify it, because we are doing so well, does our expectations change this season? Um, yeah, Josh, what do you think? Because coming to the season,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how confident you were. I'll be
I
completely
think
honest.
I
I don't know
predicted us
how
eighth.
confident.
I think I predicted us
Yeah,
seventh or eighth.
I predicted ourselves seven, so I wasn't too confident. I don't think you two you were too. Does this change your expectations now, or do you still expect Tottenham to finish eighth? But if we finish higher, all good.
Yeah, like not. It's so early. Like,
Yeah,
don't get me
4 games
wrong.
in.
I'm loving what I'm seeing. I'm absolutely like long may it continue. But if we for the great example, hate to talk on, but the great example is Arsenal last year. So Arsenal fans were defending their sort of bottling of that title by saying, well, the expectations before the season were to get top four because we missed out the year before. So we were
Yeah,
never meant to be in a title race, blah, 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 blah. The difference is once you're in it for that long, they got down the stretch towards the end and they were still in that race. So the expectations rightfully then change to you should be winning that title because you're in
you
that
need to win
position
it.
and
Yeah,
you're comfortably in that position. You shouldn't be missing it from there. Whereas it's so early for us. Like West Ham are just below us. Do you know what I mean? So it's at a point
yeah.
where I'm loving what I'm seeing. I'm definitely seeing the progress. But do I like have this now expectation of we should definitely be top four. We should be a cemented top four team and a top four prediction for most people now when they're looking at the table. No, like no, I don't. Do I expect us to still get like absolutely battered by some teams? Yes. Like defensively, we are a bit frail. We've conceded 2 goals twice now. Like away from home, we could be got at away from home against the big teams. I'll say that now. Like I hope we don't,
100%.
but we definitely look like we could be got, especially with an injury. All it takes is one Madison or a Van der Ven or a Romero injury, and we're in trouble. Um,
I think that that's the thing that most scares us as Tottenham fans is that one little injury because of our squad depth is
hmm.
so limited. That is the main focus is that injury point. And just to go on to that expectation question, I feel like we've also done ourselves a favor kind of because we predicted ourselves to be eighth, seventh, and if we finish high, it's all good. But we expect to finish eighth or seventh. Now, what I really don't want, is Tottenham fans, which won't be myself. I'm gonna
Hmm.
make sure it's not gonna be myself. Is that when we are looking like we should be finishing top four and we finish sixth, I don't think, and I don't want Tottenham fans to be upset with that because I feel like when you look at us last season and you see the progress. Yes, it's only 4 games, but you see the progress we've made so far. Let's just go over quickly the back four we had last season. Hugo Lloris in goal. We had Emerson Royal on the right, and we had the whole defense. It's a massive improvement, isn't it?
Massive. What all we wanted was to see a significant improvement in the style of play and to sort of see a vision of where we're going, you know? And that's, I don't think that should change. If we're 10 points clear of fifth place with 5, 6 games to go, then
Yeah.
yeah, the expectation changes. We should be securing that fourth place. But
Okay.
ultimately, if we're 3 points ahead of fifth or sixth with a game, 2 games left, and we don't get it, am I going to get on Ange? No, no, I'm not, because it's the first season. People need to. It's the first season of the rebuild project. We've just lost
Yeah.
our best player, one of our greatest ever players. We've got to have patience. This is going to take time, and I really hope that people don't use this hot start under Ange as a stick to beat him with later down the line if it does start to go wrong. We've got to be really patient. If you look at every rebuild that's happened, Guardiola had a really first shaky season with City. Arteta, it took him 3 years to even get into contention for Europe under Arsenal. You know, Klopp had a tough season with Liverpool in his first start. These things take time. There's going to be a lot of ups. There's going to be a lot of downs this season. I can promise that. As much as I'd love it
Yeah.
to all be ups and positive, that's just not how football works. You know, football will kick you at times. But as long as I still, come the end of the season, I still see the same style of play, the improvement in the players and the vision. You know, if one or two injuries have hampered us, or sometimes the results just didn't go away, but we learn, then I'm more than happy. As long I just want to see us back in Europe next year, and I'd like to see him immediately learn and go for this FA Cup. I really, if we go out
Yeah.
early in the FA Cup, then I will be a little bit annoyed.
I think not just if we go out the FA Cup. I feel like if if we if we lose a game in a way that we don't play well, it's just gonna hurt so much in terms of the whole morale at the Tottenham. I think right now we're at peak. We're doing so well right now.
Yeah,
Now, very quickly, the thing I'm googling right now is where did Arsenal finish in their first season with Arteta as manager? Obviously, Arteta is
mm.
the project manager. Josh, do you know where Arteta finished in his first
We
season?
finish eighth or ninth.
Correct, eighth place.
Yeah,
Now, let's hypothetically say Tottenham finish eighth. Are you happy with that?
I'm never going to be happy to finish low, but
Yeah,
if we've played a decent season and I've enjoyed the football throughout the season,
yeah.
then yeah, I'll be fine. I'm not gonna say I'm happy, but like I'm not gonna complain.
I'll
You
be
know,
completely honest with you. I don't think eighth is good enough if you want to progress because if obviously I expect Tottenham to finish eight because I just didn't think we would be playing this. I thought we would be continuing Tottenham style football without Harry Kane. But I feel like if we finish eighth, there's statistically and factually there's no progress because we finished eighth last season and we finished eighth this season. Where do you want to see the progress coming in from as a Tottenham fan?
the season after another summer window with Ange,
Yeah,
then I'll be expecting consistent European football fighting for top four. Then
Yeah.
that's when I'll be sort of thinking, okay, you've had two pre-seasons, three transfer windows in total, including the January one that's going to come up. I presume that as much we collect, I hate the board, hate the owners, but they will inevitably pump some money in during the next transfer window. They have to, um, and he's got a bit more depth. Like if we have quality depth and we've got the last of the sort of this era out, if you get what I mean, we finally get Dyer out and we get Højbjerg out and we get the last remnants of that Poch, Conte, Nuno, Jose era out. That's when my expectations go right. Now this Ange, this is your team, it's your set of players, it's all your style, your philosophy. It's now on you to get us back in that European contention in the Champions League because that's where we need to be. It's such a tough competitive league now, I know, but that's where we deserve to be.
Can we finish top four this season? Big question. Can we? Do we have the facilities?
If everyone stays fit, then yes. If everyone stays fit, that's the big caveat for me. If is Madison's fitness, like the centre back's fitness, Basuma's fitness, and even Sonny's fitness, because I don't really
Yeah.
know who else is going to score the goals in that front three at the minute with how things are going. So, depending on that sort of spine of the team's fitness, yes, absolutely, I think we can finish top four. The ability's there, and the
So
coaching
top four
philosophy
is
is there.
possible. Top four, lads, is possible. Now, Josh, very, very, very quickly, look, because I think we're gonna end it here. Do you think now we we're going into a season where there are gonna be injuries, there are gonna be ups, there are gonna be downs. Do you think, and this is a question that was asked, do you think Ange will get sacked this season?
No, no,
Brilliant.
I've heard some rival fans say that early, but no, and there's no chance Ange gets sacked this season. I don't think, barring a horrific turn of form where we lose 10 on the bounce. No, it's not possible for Ange to get sacked at the minute.
Yeah.
Um, the fans are so behind him. Like the fan base absolutely adore this. But there's other fan bases that love this guy. He's great with the media, great with the players, great with fans. He just gets us as a club, I think. He really wants to be here. Everyone resonates with him. So I think if anyone's going to have sort of questions asked and the fans are going to be able to get anyone, it's going to be the board, Enoch, Levi. They'll be the first that people go to if things take a bad turn because they haven't given him the depth that he needs really to make a strong European push. But Ange is not going anywhere. I'd bet my life on it. If there's a top six manager going first, I'd say Eddie Howe. Not just because of the form.
Yeah.
Before the season started, I thought, you know, I think Newcastle fans are about to discover what it is like to be a top team again. It's the pressure comes quick. It comes very, very
Fast. Yeah.
fast. It comes very fast. But no, there's no danger of Ange going anywhere.
Well, look, I'm happy. I'm happy that you said there's no danger because I believe the same. I don't think Andrew will be going anywhere anytime soon. Well, lads, hopefully you enjoyed that very, very amazing Q&A. Josh, hopefully you are going to have a great day or great evening. And yeah, tell me something. What's happening more on Spurs Live on the Spurs Live YouTube channel? Come talk to me. What can the fans see a bit more on the Spurs Live YouTube channel?
Yeah, so we're not going to be away for the international break. We're still going to try and be giving you guys as much content as we can. We're going to be sort of hopefully doing a review of the season coming up very soon. So stay tuned in for that.
Nice.
That's what I'm really looking forward to. We're trying our hardest to get other fans from other clubs on the channel, sort of some maybe more well-known Spurs fans as well onto the channel. We're trying to do as many collabs as we can, but let us guys know as well who you want us to do sort of collaborations with, who you want to see on the channel, what sort of videos you want us to do. But be back here every Thursday and Sunday when the international break goes again for your match previews, sort of match reactions and everything else under the sun to do with Spurs,
Love
isn't
to
it?
see it.
So
Love to see it. Well, guys, make sure to subscribe, comment, and share. And why not comment down below who's your favorite Tottenham Hotspur player? We're wondering who you guys love the most. Would it be Sonny? Would it be Basuma? Or would it be a youngster, Pape Matassa? Well, Josh, it's been lovely having you on here as obviously co-host of the channel. Hopefully, you have a great day. Come on, you Spurs. Bye bye, everyone.